I'm on the way to Green Turtle Key because a lot of spare parts and stuff will arrive in 2 days because a bunch of things are broken. It's very light wind today, but I only have to do 25 miles and I got the whole day for that. So let's just sail. Halfway on a trip now and my autopilot stopped working. That's not very convenient. Luckily I'm not doing an overnighter. I know normally there's a red light on the autopilot module inside. Well, it's not burning right now. I'll check it out and back on anchor. I tried to bring the main down when the boat was just going forwards, but obviously with the autopilot not working, that's difficult. You have about, I don't know, 10-15 seconds and then the boat goes in either one or the other direction. I opened up my autopilot. I'm getting a 10.5, where when I measured it at the control panel I'm getting a 13.5, so something must go wrong from the unit all the way there. From the multimeter I put the plus cable on here and I'm going to put the minus on a different minus here. Let's see. Oh, 13.5, so the minus is the problem, not the plus. This looks a little sketchy here. Let's replace this cable. So now I'm having 13.5 volts again. Nice. Does it work again? It works again. I wish all boat fixes were this easy. I have good news. My stuff arrived. I'm going to pick it up in Green Turtle Key, which is 5 miles further. It's a little hard in this weather to pick up my anchor by hand when it's blowing 20 knots or higher, and sometimes I feel myself being like a little jealous on other boats in the anchorage who are bigger, have windlass, and seem to have it easier. And it's funny because like 1.5 years ago I was totally broke. I was in Argentina in my van, I had nothing, and then I went home and I built a cabin in the woods, and those videos actually made enough money to support having a boat until now, something I dreamed of for a long time and I couldn't see how it would happen to even have a boat, and now I have one, which I'm super grateful for. And it's funny because then still sometimes I feel like those little bit of jealousy feelings, and then I just have to remind myself that if I compare myself to others, there will always be somebody who has it better, because it doesn't matter what you have, there will always be somebody who has it better. So I just really have to remind myself to be a better version of myself, to become a better version of who I was yesterday. And I also really believe that, also like in finding happiness, I don't believe that there's a thing or a bigger boat or another person that can make us long-term happy. I really believe that we can only really do that to ourselves. We can only make ourselves truly happy, Okay, well, let's go. Let's pick up the stuff. There it comes, the BOLO, the Green Turtle Ferry Service, my packages. See you. I will. You want to be in a YouTube video? What's your name? What's your name?
Camille.
What's your name?
Raya.
Nice to meet you guys.
I'm a fan of you.
Are you a fan of me?
Yeah.
Ah, I love that. I'm getting help to bring the boxes to the dinghy. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you. Okay, going back to the previous anchorage. It's just more protected there, less wind, and I'll sleep better. What do we all have? We have a starter for the engine, a heat exchanger alarm so that I can actually hear when my bilge goes off, small microphone for my small camera, batteries for my GoPro, then this is a drive unit for my autopilot, this is a Autohelm 4000, I had the 3000 and John still had the 4000, he gave it to me, and a Fluxgate compass that belongs together, then a secondary float switch, a battery combiner, broke on the way to Cuba, and now I have one again, a raw water strainer, minus too small, but now I have a decent one, a natural gas alarm for gas leaks, a new pump because mine is leaking for the toilet, a new alternator, heavy duty inverter, Sine Wave inverter, also mine keep breaking, wires, iPhone wires, Samsung wires, they also keep breaking, same with wireless chargers, a new microphone for my big camera because they also both broke, then I have new, this is for the drone, new propellers, and this is for on the mast so I can finally put on my wind indicator. I just missed this piece, and this is internal drone wires, they're also broke, so soon I can fly the drone again, and there's an oil pressure switch, and a cover for a new phone that I bought, a comfort zone which is for my stomach problems. My mom is gonna be so happy, a Garmin InReach, I can finally talk to people when I'm on the ocean. Secondary bilge pump because it's kind of nice to have when yours break and like you get water in the boat, not good. This is a diesel pump, you know, if that one stops working I can also not use the engine anymore, so that's good to have a secondary. This is for you know, to charge your stuff, marine grade, where you put like cigarette lighter or stuff in and USB plugs. Then this is a battery monitor. I have actually bought one on a marine swap in the meanwhile, but I ordered this one already 4 months ago, and a DC charger for that one day in the future that I can afford lithium. So this in total was $2,500, about that, $2,550, and then exclusive about $550 of total shipping cost and import cost. And I have to say, I sent all the things to San Diego, then it had to go over the last 4 months, and John shipped it to Miami because from there I didn't know where I would eventually send it to, and John paid for those shipping costs, which were quite substantial, $340 to get all the stuff from San Diego to Miami. So thank you, John. There are a lot of good people in this world. Yeah, so well, whoever says that boating is cheap, well, it is. You can do it as cheap as possible on my boat, but it is not cheap, that's for sure. It is typical weather, like what I'm used to from my home country. So the perfect time to install new goodies on the boat. I just mounted my new inverter over here. It doesn't look nice, and I totally agree with you. But in the beginning I wanted everything to look nice, and I put it over here in the cabinet, and it kept breaking because it's a 50-year-old boat and it just leaks. And whatever I do to fix the leaks, there's always some drops or moisture, especially when going upwind and water sprays over the bow, and they just keep breaking, and it's pretty important because without I cannot make videos. This is the only dry spot, one of the few dry spots that I actually still have space to put something, so at this moment I'd rather be practical than that it looks nice. Just got the old heat exchanger out. I'm not even going to keep it as a spare part because the inside is so corroded I cannot use it anymore. I might actually keep this part. This part might be useful for something. A heat exchanger is like a radiator in a car, only a radiator uses air to cool the antifreeze, and then the antifreeze cools the engine. And a heat exchanger uses fresh water or salt water, wherever you are, to cool the antifreeze inside, and then the antifreeze cools the engine. And when I bought a boat, I never ever heard of a heat exchanger. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't know what it was. And I probably, instead of trying to fix my old heat exchanger twice, I should have bought a new one immediately. But I make a lot of mistakes, and I don't know. It's like the only way to learn something in life is by making mistakes, right? Sometimes I feel like there are a lot of things I just actually should have known, like either how a heat exchanger works, or I don't know, just other things like how to anchor the boat in different holding grounds, or general things like where do I want to go with my life. But on the other hand, it's like, where would the fun be if we would have known everything in advance? It would have probably become really boring. I think it's just better to just, you know, to just keep trying whatever we want to try and then figure it out on the way. And keep smiling at the same time, because life is short, so might as well enjoy it. So this is my current water strainer. That was the best one I could get at that moment, but you see here there's only really narrow space to connect it from the through hole to the water strainer, and here, so the curves are pretty, you know, they're pretty rough. So once already had a little hole in the hose and water sprayed out. So I'm going to install a bigger one, and this one is also easier to install, and because bigger, water will flow through easier. New bigger raw water strainer is on. I would love to have a 40-foot boat with the newest equipment and a new autopilot, but the reality is I cannot afford that, and in order to keep doing this without having to go back to a desk job, I have to make sacrifices, and one of them is that I'm using an older autopilot and just bought a spare unit for the future, and this spare unit is $70 for a new one. Like if for a 40-foot boat for a bigger system it would be $1,500, and for that money I almost bought all the stuff that I bought now. So yeah, that's a sacrifice I'm very willing to make to not have to go back to a desk job. I installed a buzzer, so now when the bilge pump goes off, oh yeah, just got up to continue the project, but wow, the sky just looks like a painting. Putting wires from one alternator to another brand alternator is not as easy as you might think. The positive output goes apparently to B, then we have the AC tap, apparently for a tachometer, goes to P, then we have AXC goes to AXC, and then there is one more, this one which you still have to connect, which is apparently for a light, but then we have E is for a light and L2 is for a lamp, which is technically the same, but apparently this one you don't use on boat engines, so it has to go to E. Yeah, I think the old alternators due for replacement. It's not an original alternator, and this part is hitting the engine. That's not good because it's a plus terminal, so I'm going to cut this off. Because this positive terminal is so close to the engine block, I put some liquid tape on it. Liquid tape is actually the same as tape, but it's liquid, and I hope it prevents it a little bit more from ever making any contact. Yeah, alternator is on and it works. Now let's clean up a little bit here and go on to the next project. The alternator might have taken a little longer than expected to install, so this is day 3 of boat repairs. Next project is to put in a new toilet pump, because mine, the water always flows back, so I always have to close it through holes, which is very frustrating. It's time to put on a new one. Yay, toilet pump fixed. That was easier as I thought it would be. Now putting in the wind indicator over there. Patrons just asked me what kind of music I like to listen to while sailing. I mean, often I just listen to the surrounding sounds, but then sometimes I listen to my favorite music. And I was wondering, maybe you guys had some other ideas, because I often listen to the same playlist. Feel like I have a bit of an old soul, so I listen to a lot of classic music. But let me go through my playlist, and maybe I'm very curious to know if you guys also still listen to similar music, or maybe have some other recommendations. Besides Celtic music, I like to listen to Celtic music when I'm sailing. I have The Police, Every Breath You Take, Aerosmith, Ragdoll, Alphaville, Forever Young. Like, I'm just calling my real favorites. I like Beyonce with Halo, actually. Billy Joel, She's Always a Woman to Me. Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart. Bryan Adams, Summer of '69. Oh yeah. Eminem, I love to listen to Eminem because I just really grew up with it. Evanescence, Foreigner, Freddie Mercury, Living for My Own, Freddie Mercury, Queen, like that's like really nice to listen to when I'm sailing. Bunch of others from Queen, and then I have Survivor, Burning Heart. Oh yeah, that keeps me going. The Boys of Summer, The Cranberries, Zombie, and Tina Turner, a bunch of Tina Turner, especially like Proud Mary. Tracy Chapman with Fast Car, Ugly Kid Joe, Cats in the Cradle, and well, that was about it. If you have any suggestions what I should listen to, most motivational songs I guess during sailing, let me know. Today I'm going to install the Outerhelm 4000 outside, so that I don't have to walk inside the boat anymore, because my old one only works when it's over here. The Outerhelm 3000 is connected with a motor to a belt and then to the wheel. However, the Outerhelm 4000 is actually a wheel pilot, so that means the motor originally is over there and it directly steers the wheel. That doesn't really matter, it's the same thing. The difference is that at Outerhelm 3000 there are like 4 wires here, 2 for electricity to come in and 2 that go to the motor. And at the 3000, 2 of the wires come out here and 2 of the wires come out here. So in order to make this module fit on my motor, I have to split the wires and connect them separately. Blue and brown are for the incoming electricity, and then red and black is for the motor. For the electricity that goes to the control panel, I'm using 10 AWG marine wire, 105 degrees, because it goes above the engine. The thing is, this is way overkill. 14 AWG would be good enough, but this is what I still have on the boat. When the autopilot stopped working in the past and I was sailing solo, life was pretty tough. So on a budget, I think I came up with a pretty good solution. The new autopilot is on this switch, and now that works. However, if I put the new autopilot off, I still have the old autopilot, which is here. I'm gonna leave here, and then, oh sorry, I have to push this button obviously. That works too.